with Zygmunt Reichenbach commentary. If you are new here, make sure to go ahead and like our commentary page. But we actually got a new show tonight with a good friend of mine, Ronnie Brown. It's called Ran with Ronnie. Perfect subject for him dialed in tonight. We got the discussion of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court map. And if you're interested, make sure to go ahead and follow his page at the bottom line with Emily and Ronnie. Ronnie, what's up, buddy?
How's it going, Zig? We don't get to see each other too often face to face, so it's really nice to do these videos with you. Well, we met for the first time, what, about 3 years ago?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And then I liked you right off the bat because you're just one of those people that very informed, and I liked you, and I'm glad to do this with you, man.
Hey, happy to have you here, buddy. We need all the people talking about what it is that's going on, because with so much bad news, people often focus on the wrong news. And then in terms of bad news, this is definitely bad news. The title of tonight's discussion is Obama drawing congressional maps. Well, no, he's not quite literally doing that, but as the hook, it is important to know what's going on here and the actual actors taking place. So I'll just give us some background here about these congressional maps. We're back in 2018. Okay, 4 years before now, the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court already rejected the maps after operating with them for 7 years as a partisan gerrymander. And what that did is that awarded seats to about 2 or 3 other Republicans, and also made Scott Perry's district much more competitive. They were actually hoping to unseat Scott Perry for being so conservative. And that was the whole plan with the Supreme Court. Now, fast forward to the modern day, and we have a brand new map. And this map is actually built on the 2018 map, according to what its advocates say, where it creates the least change possible. But if that's what they really wanted, they wouldn't change the maps at all. And the problem that Ronnie and I are here to discuss is that, well, for one, it creates a lot of problems for incumbents. And this is backed by Eric Holder, Obama's former attorney general. So the question becomes, how long can Obama's people draw the maps, and why is that allowed to happen? Ronnie, why is it allowed to happen?
I guess, in my opinion, the reason it's allowed to happen is because the people just basically, we actually let it happen. We let it happen. And this is like my sermon kind of thing that I'm always preaching out there. We let it happen when we don't get out the vote. All right. So, I don't know what it was like where you were in your county, Zig, but, so here we are. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania is choosing this map that was drawn by Obama, right? And through complacency from the Republicans, and I do blame complacency of the Republicans, we left our Supreme Court get to a 5-2 Democrat-run court. Obviously, the Wolf administration and any other Democrat administration is taking advantage of that right now, and we let that happen by not voting. Now, if even in this last election here in 2021, you'd think that people would understand this, and you think that people would understand that our courts are playing a huge role in our lives right now. And yet here in Juniata County, we still only got 38% of the vote out, when we had, 2 Commonwealth court seats, 1 Superior Court seat, and 1 Supreme Court seat up for grabs. Now, thank goodness that we still got 3 out of 4 of those seats. But still, the damage has already been done. It was done back in what year would it have been, where they flipped the Supreme Court. I don't remember, but the damage is already done, and it's not going to get fixed until we probably got a good another 10 years to go.
No, but the whole justification for these maps is that they had been gerrymandered in the past. When in 2018 the court came in with a new map after 7 years approximately have one standing, 6 or 7 years of a map standing before. Now they come back in 2022 and draw another map that's based on the same map. How many more times do you think this would have to happen before somebody says, well, the Supreme Court is gerrymandering? Or is it the case that because they're all judges and that they're all nice, moral people, that they would totally abstain from doing it?
Well, there lies the problem. The morals are out the window. We are saying, we are out there saying this is being gerrymandered by the state Supreme Court. The fact of the matter is they absolutely don't care. The Democrats are so desperate right now, they absolutely positively don't care. And what they are doing is instead of, so for instance, years they've been getting beat in Pennsylvania when it comes to our legislature, right? So with the state legislature and our congressmen. And so the question becomes to the Democrats, how do you plan on, winning? You've been losing in Pennsylvania for years when it comes to the seats of the people and representing the people of Pennsylvania. How do you plan on, what's your plan to get to win seats back? And instead of the Democrats saying, well, maybe we should take a look at our policies that Pennsylvanians don't like, and maybe kind of, listen to the people and start representing the people better to policies that benefit the people. But no, they haven't done that. Their answer to it all is screw the people. We'll do it through redistricting.
Well, and therein seems to lie the problem, because has the Democrat Party, you would think that they're supposed to stand for quote unquote the people, but the PA legislature opened it up so that way anybody could draw a map and turn it in, and therefore that process would be more democratic than what it had been before. Now the question has to become is, why would they even start that process if they were just going to pick the Obama map? That's a slight modification of the one that they had in 2018. Like I'm not really able to understand why we had to do this horse and pony show of having all these people draw all these maps and spend hours and hours and hours and hours doing that under the justification that that's democratic. And now we're picking the Obama map. Like, shouldn't that make anybody just red with rage?
You would think, Evan, if it doesn't, then that's a problem. We're so divided right now. I mean, let's face it, we are very divided along party lines. We're very divided, and it really comes down to Democrats are advertising socialism and more power in the government, and Republicans are moving back to its roots. Thank goodness. I really feel they are. We still got a long way to go, but Republicans and the Republican Party is starting to move back towards its roots. So when the Republicans quit compromising, have they done for 30 years, the Democrats they're not getting what they want anymore. They're starting to be told no, and they hate it. They hate it so much that they create these smoke and mirrors. They go through all the movements, and say, oh, we're going to do it this way, and we're going to invite the people, and we're going to include the people in redistricting this. But it's just movement, and it's all fake. And if I would plead with the Democrats out there to take a really good hard look at what your Democrat Party is doing, and if I were you, I would do what we Republicans are doing and saying enough is enough. And if you want to get back to a great country, well, we still live in a great country. I don't want to take away from that. But if you want to get back to a great country, we need to go back to the days where Democrats and Republicans could at least could at least agree on one thing, and that is what's best for our nation, what's best for our people. You know, John F. Kennedy is one of the greatest presidents of our time, and I don't know if he really got the guy never really got a chance to actually show what he could do, but I know his heart was in the right place when he said, "It's not what you can do for your country, or it's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country." So that's where we need to go back. And I plead with the Democrats, you know, you got to bring your party back on, you know, back to where we can actually sit down at the table and talk.
I think that's what the whole issue is that this party, which is supposed to stand for the people, continues to defer to executive branch agencies, and they continue to defer to courts. And neither of those things are democratic. One person and a handful of four people is not democratic. That's just fundamentally not. And until there's some kind of change in how they're viewing the world, then they're going to continue to not only not stand for democracy, but to damage these key institutions where we're supposed to have a Pennsylvania Supreme Court that's interpreting the law. But it doesn't say anywhere in the law that the judicial branch must draw the maps. I mean, what's the point of even having a redistricting commission then, if they're just going to defer to the judges? How long can this go on for? You know, I'm just having a harder and harder time as the legislator and the executive branch aren't willing to make deals. Like, shouldn't the court just say, listen, we're going to suspend parts of the election indefinitely until you guys reach a compromise, and if you don't, you pick up the maps. Like that shouldn't be the court's job, right? To draw these maps 24/7.
Well, it's not. And I'm not sure how it ever got to that point in the first place. I mean, it started even before this. So we've been fighting about maps I know in the last redistricting, we fought over maps. And nobody was happy with them, and we got through it. You know, it is going to continue to happen this way. It just is. I don't see the end of the road anywhere in sight yet on the what do you call it? The tension between Republicans and Democrats right now is going to go on for a long time. They hate Donald Trump, and you know, when he comes back out in 2024, all that animosity towards Republicans is going to start all over again, and it's just going to reflame that fight.
Well, I think another problem here is that at some point in time, the court may not always be democratic, and therefore, if it's a Republican court and they do the same thing over, then we've really made no progress. Like we need to come up with some kind of legislative solution that somebody can agree on to have a process that cuts out the court. I was just in a discussion with Christian Watson on Sunday, and we'll continue to have those discussions every Sunday at 4. But what I was pointing out to him is that in the Federalist, which the Federalist Papers, which explain our Constitution, it says the legislator necessarily predominates in a republic, more or less. That's the general quote. It's pretty close to verbatim, and yet we don't have that. And not so we don't have a constitutional republic, and we're not acting on Democrat values where the legislator decides. And I just wonder, why does it have to go on in that way? And when are these people going to come to their senses, both Republicans and Democrats, to understand that we need a concrete legislative solution that does not defer the power to the judiciary or the executive?
Well, here's an idea. You know, if I really believe that regardless or in spite of the maps going the way they are against the Republicans so hard, and it's like a last ditch effort, and it's a desperate ploy to regain control of our legislatures. But despite that, I believe here in 2022 we will come out on top in our state legislature and our congressmen. I believe we're going to win. We're going to lose seats, but we're still going to keep majority, and we're certainly going to get majority across the nation. And at least here in Pennsylvania is what I concentrate on most. You know, I have enough problems with Pennsylvania politics, let alone trying to fix other states' problems. But at least here in Pennsylvania, I expect to gain control or keep control of the House and the Senate, and gain the governorship this year. And hopefully our Republicans, I know that they recognize this, and hopefully our Republicans can get some bills through to kind of fix this problem. And
I think what we have to ask though is that if the legislator's power is always going to be determined by the judiciary, why is it even worth fighting for to start with? When, well, all right, boys, we have to wait another 10 years and have some guys who are elected for 10-year terms draw the maps all over again. Like, at some point, does it even become does the office even become worth anything? Is anybody able to get anything done? Does anybody want to do anything? Or are they just going to say, well, we're going to let Tom Wolf decide, or we're going to let these justices decide? And that should go for both parties. Like, it just seems crazy that these guys are going to always defer all their powers out until they just sit around and spin in their chair and bicker about nothing because they let other people make all the decisions. Like,
well, the reason everything goes to the courts in the first place is because one party or another files a lawsuit, and I don't think that's ever going to stop, right? Mm-hmm. And they're always going to go to a lawsuit because they don't like the map, and they're the Democrats are going to think it's unfair to them if they don't get their way, and vice versa. So, but it really, in this instance, the Democrats have gone way out on, like, they've gone completely bonkers. They got, so many Republican incumbents running against Republican incumbents, whereas on the other hand, there's very, very little Democrats running against Democrats, right, to keep their seats. And it shows there's such a major sense of bipartisanship that the Republicans, in my opinion, and you guys, and people are going to call it bias or whatever they want to call it, but my opinion is Republicans had every right to file a lawsuit against these maps. But like you said, though, Zig, where we can at least where we can come to a common ground is not having somebody that's not even in Pennsylvania or lives in Pennsylvania drawing these maps. And it should become the maps at any rate should come from a citizen of Pennsylvania.
We can't have Barack Obama and his people drawing maps for Pennsylvania and then still praise him as if he's the holy high king of bipartisanship and justice. Okay, that's a bunch of junk. This guy has conned his way into getting a high-power lawyer to gerrymander things for President Biden and Biden's agenda. And anybody should worry about that. If George Bush did something like this and he created a commission headed up by Dick Cheney or whoever his attorney general was to draw up all these maps, claim that it's bipartisan only to protect incumbents and Democrat seats, everybody would say that this is junk and that it's not a legitimate process. What I think really needs to happen, and the only thing that any sensible person can agree with, is that we need constitutional amendments. We need a constitutional amendment that strengthens the sovereignty of the legislator to draw their own maps. Because at that case, Not only is it democratically voted on by all the representatives and all the senators, but then the people get an opportunity. I mean, instead of begging for the courts, let's get a constitutional amendment out there. Why can't we go to the people? And Democrats should love that. They love the people. They're a people of the people. That should bring them such great joy, right? Wouldn't that be the perfect solution?
It would be. That is the perfect solution. But, you know, if you haven't noticed, the Democrats have lost faith in the people. There's a separation there. And it's proven whenever you stand there, and if you're going to stand in a public interview and you get asked the question, and I'm saying this because this is actually what happened to the minority leader here in Pennsylvania, but they were asked, how do you win your seats back? What is your plan to win the seats back? And the rightful answer is the absolute an answer of a righteous House member or Senate member or anybody that serves the people is, well, maybe I should go back and take a look at my policies and see why the people aren't standing behind me on my policies. Why aren't the people of Pennsylvania standing behind the Democratic Party and voting for Democrats to control the House, right? That would be the rightful answer. Take a look yourself in the mirror. But instead of doing that, like I said, they said, well, we'll just do it with redistricting. They actually circumvent the people, and they look for ways to circumvent the people. And it shows a great mistrust and a separation between the Democratic Party and the people. And I don't know why this is so hard for many people to see. I don't think it is. Some are just, they got too much pride or whatever. Or they just plain downright don't care.
Well, then perhaps the party can rename itself to the Democratic Socialist Party of America, because in that case, they're not claiming to be the Democrat Party. They're claiming to be the Democrat Socialist Party. And if that's the kind of takeover that we're going to have, then we should just be able to call it how it is in the name of transparency. Instead, we have all these confusing distinctions that don't make any sense. And the very same group of people that could advocate for a constitutional amendment, I mean, because that would be Fair Districts PA. That would be the real Fair Districts PA. In fact, the person who's been creating such a stir about these fair districts, we need fair districts. Well, if you go on to her Twitter or just do some basic research, you'll find out that she is actually a Barack Obama apologist. You know, she supports him. She's in love with him. She thinks that he's just such a great man because he really shows that he loves his wife. Take a look at this blog that she has. I wish I could show it on the screen, but I'll just read it. It says, I voted for Barack Obama in part because of his relationship with his wife. I respect men who dare to show they love and respect their wives. And I admire men who aren't threatened by their wives' accomplishments, who aren't afflicted by our culture's narrow view of beauty or femininity. Now tell me, this lady who everybody is kowtowed to because she runs this group called Fair Districts PA, tell me how she really doesn't have partisan motivations. Oh, I love Obama. He's a hero. He'll kiss his wife's feet, and that means that he's such a great holy man. No, I mean, this is fundamentally absurd.
Well, even if she does like Obama, and you know, I don't care. I really don't care that people are like that per se, that they think that this person is God or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, here's the fact. He doesn't live in Pennsylvania. He does not have the best interests of the people of Pennsylvania. And that's what we got to come to an agreement on. Otherwise, when you sit down, if you're going to sit down at the table and you're going to talk about redistricting maps, the first thing you have to admit across the board is nobody in Pennsylvania that doesn't do business. And well, I mean, he probably does do business in Pennsylvania, but he doesn't live in Pennsylvania. And the fact of the matter is, he is bipartisan. He doesn't have any business, and his policies don't have any business, and his maps don't have any business at this table. That's the first thing we got to come to an agreement on. Even, Trump didn't submit any, nobody from the Trump administration or any of Trump's team submitted any maps, right? Not that I know of.
Yeah, no, there's no Trump map, and in fact, if there was one, regardless of whether that map was full Democrat or not, or whether it contained one district or 50 billion districts, or how any configuration, anything that Trump would have done, it would have been guaranteed to be labeled as partisan right off the bat. That would automatically get thrown right out the window. But then if you look at Fair Districts PA Twitter, they get really excited. Back in October 17, 2016, POTUS, Eric Holder to lead post-Trump redistricting campaign. Real reform won't be D or R. More gerrymandering? Yeah, okay. So back all the way back in 2016, you had Fair Districts PA jump up and down because Eric Holder is drawing the maps. Now, I don't know how that's Fair Districts PA at all. At that point, you're championing Eric Holder.
Absolutely. It isn't. It's the furthest thing from Fair Districts PA. Fair Districts PA should be, going to, if Fair Districts PA wants to actually be Fair Districts PA, they would be out there doing polls and interviewing people and talking about them, about their district and how happy they are with their district. Are they happy with it or aren't they? Because, and the fact of the matter is they're even in the Republican side, I know there's people that aren't happy with their districts. So you might find people that are been gerrymandered out of a district so bad that, they're not included as a whole district. They don't feel included as a whole district, right? Those are the people that we need to look at and make them happy, pull them into a district that they feel part of, instead of this little freaking thin line between, a district like this, and then you got this thin line and it grabs this little piece over here. Well, this little piece over here does not feel like they're a part of this district. I can guarantee you that. Those are the things we got to fix with redistricting. And that's what Fair Districts PA should be focusing on.
And instead, we have them deferring power to Eric Holder, who was involved in a scandal where he refused to testify about this thing called Fast and Furious, where government agents allowed illegal sales of guns that were found at the scene of the murder of a Border Patrol agent. Okay, that's who's drawing our maps. Fair Districts. Okay, Fair Districts have no Border Patrol because of illegal gun sales.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even know what more to say about it, but it's absolutely crazy to think the way they're thinking. I can't fathom that, as a person of Pennsylvania. Heck, I even said one time, when Trump made an endorsement here in Pennsylvania to a candidate, and man, I love my president. I love my president to death. And I believe he's the best president in the history of the United States. He came at the right time. He's at the right place at the right time. We needed him, and he did a great job. But at the end of the day, I don't need him telling me who to vote for in Pennsylvania. And I said that. And it's no disrespect to Trump at all. It's just that, I doubt that Trump knows Pennsylvanians like I know Pennsylvanians.
Yeah, no, that's right. Because you're a proud citizen of the state of Pennsylvania. But Fair Districts PA says we need Eric Holder to come up with a plan for us so we can protect incumbents that won't seem too partisan, but will help us from seeing this red wave. And it's just even more crazy when you know what the moral character is of this gentleman, Mr. Eric Holder. Mr. Eric Holder played a central role, according to Ton.com, a central role in signing off on the secret monitoring of Fox News' James Rosen and other journalists in a staunch defense of the National Security Agency programs. Okay, so we have a man that not only is he not a Pennsylvanian, okay, but he is so far partisan, he's going to spy on Fox News. Okay, now you can say that that doesn't have anything to do with whether or not the maps are partisan or not. I don't believe that. If you're willing to spy on your opponent and you signed off on it and you've been caught doing that and you accrued so many scandals that during your time you had to step down, that's partisan. And the fact that we have to do this pie in the sky thing and we can't say if that's partisan or not, no, that's ridiculous. Eric Holder is the most partisan man that had probably ever been in office aside from Obama himself.
You nailed that. I'm actually glad I'm actually glad to hear that from you, Zig, because I know you do your research, and I'll tell you, I myself, I certainly didn't dig into Eric Holder as much as you, and there's a lot of things you probably know about him that I don't. But that was awesome.
Well, we have to know what is going on here, because I at least claim to be at least somewhat democratic. I believe that the people ought to know. But the fact is that because there's so much incompetency going on with the current administration, nobody can know anything, because as soon as one scandal happens, then some other stupid thing happens, like the whole Ukraine situation. And it's just too hard for people to really catch up with the vast amounts of incompetency that's going on, such that stories that deserve to be explored, like this scandal right here, get overlooked. But I don't see any other way but to conclude, and I don't know why the Supreme Court justices can't reach the same conclusion. To me, it points out that in 2023, when Max Barre's seat is up, then we need somebody in there who's going to uphold the rule of law and insist that Eric Holder does not draw our maps for us. And I think if we don't keep our eyes on the prize in 2023, then we're going to have these guys keep making up this nonsense that from people who spy on Fox News journalists.
The only way we're going to keep this redistricting fair is to either it can only happen one of two ways. Well, number one, we need to keep it out of the courts, right? I don't know how to do that when our parties are so divided, like it is very divided. And you know what? I don't want to hear this crap from people about I don't want to hear crap from Democrats talking about coming together. I don't want to hear it. We've been going along to get along for 30 years, and it led to what is now socialism. It's led to things like men dominating women's sports. For years, all you heard from Democrats was to respect women and women's rights and all this kind of stuff about but yeah, basically in a nutshell, to start respecting women better. And then we turn around and allow men to compete in their sports and just totally dominate their sports, and it totally ruined it. Like, it's ruined everything for them. But that's where the Democrats are, and that's where compromise has gotten us in 30 years. So we cannot continue to compromise that go and go down that road. We have to start pulling back, and that's what's happening right now. Is that the Republicans are saying, okay, enough is enough, and the Republicans and their constituents are saying, enough is enough. We're done, and we're stopping right here, and we're going this way. And if you we are on divided paths, totally divided.
Well, we could come together if we were dealing with the Democrat Party and not the DSA, the Democratic Socialist of America, because what is democratic is keeping the power in the legislature. But at the same time, you have people saying that when a court makes a favorable ruling, it's nonpartisan. Well, the current gentleman who's on the Supreme Court now, Kevin Doherty, his brother, who donated to his campaign, was convicted of numerous counts of public corruption related crimes. And he was found guilty of 8 counts of, in part, bribery. Doherty was found to have bribed Hennon for access to power and decision making in City Hall back in Philadelphia. Okay, so we have a guy who's manipulating the public's trust to defraud the public through public sector unions, acquire all this money. Well, I don't know if they're public sector unions, perhaps or not. Trade unions in general, get all this money, and then donate it to his brother's campaign, who happens to be on the Supreme Court. And if you actually look at Kevin Doherty in the Supreme Court, it says Kevin Doherty is a great win for unions. Okay, so how much of this here is nonpartisan? Why would any outlet declare it a great win for unions when he's supposed to be nonpartisan? He's a Supreme Court justice. He's a big Democrat. Well, where is the nonpartisanship?
This is why I love you, Zig. Man, do you do your research? I didn't know any of that. But you know, I'm glad to be on here with you and to share in this video, because you really show exactly what's going on. And you know, as a conservative and as a strong conservative, a lot of times we can get this bad rep that we want to fight with people all the time, when in reality, you know, we only get in there. It's almost like a lot of times we keep our mouth shut and we keep our mouth shut and we keep our mouth shut till it gets really bad. And then, you know, they push so many buttons and go so far, and then you got to jump in and really do something. And a lot of times you've let it go on so far that you have to pull back really hard. And when you pull back really hard, it comes off as, oh, now you're being mean. But in reality, we're not being mean. We're just doing what's right. We're calling it like it is. We're saying it like it is. Like you're saying, it's absolutely 100% bipartisan. I'm glad to know you and to hear your thoughts on this, because the research that you have done is absolute 100% proof.
Well, and we need to, this really points, if it either has to be one of two things. We either have to have courts that are going to indeed be nonpartisan and stand up for Democrat values, which means keeping the courts, but by Democrat values, I mean the people, keeping themselves out of ruling from cases that affect the people like that, or affect the legislator, which is supposed to represent the people. Or we just have to acknowledge that it's partisan and then achieve whatever partisan victory that it has to be. It shouldn't have to be about partisan victories, but when people are saying they can't even agree on Democrat values, you have judges that are getting money from their union leader bosses. You have Barack Obama and his former handler drawing the maps. How can anybody not be partisan after knowing all that? Like, that is pushing people to the brink of partisanship. And I think that's why maybe we need to keep our eye on 2023, and maybe find somebody who's nonpartisan in the sense that they will respect the Constitution by letting the people and not judges decide every single case. Right? It's
a nice thought. I don't see it happening, and I definitely don't see it happening anytime soon. But right now, I believe, and I'll put it all in a nutshell right now. The Democrats and the supporters of these Democrats and the supporters of this partisanship on that side, they're blinded by hate, and they are blinded by hate of Donald Trump. Donald Trump got elected. They hated it. They hated the fact that he beat Hillary Clinton, and it's consumed them. I mean, over the 4 years that Donald Trump was president, it has consumed them so much that the man could cure cancer and they'd still hate him for it. So
And actually, he did help do that, Ronnie. I wrote an article back in 2016 when I was in grad school that if Barack Obama deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, then so does Donald Trump, in part because of all the money that he did donate to child cancer and to solving that problem. So yeah, he actually has helped on that at a rate that's a much higher percentage of his income than what Barack Obama ever donated to charity. But Barack Obama hardly donated anything. So you're exactly right about that.
In the media. So we need to start holding the media accountable too. If the media was held accountable, a lot of this stuff just wouldn't be as divided as it is. I believe the media has a lot to do with the division here in America. But what do? You gotta stick by your guns, and the courts are never. I don't see the courts ever being bipartisan for a long time, for at least here in Pennsylvania. Partisanship is going out. I mean, or bipartisanship is going out the window, and I don't know how to fix it. I really don't. Other than our legislature doing what they did in the old days, when they wrote our documents, when they wrote our Constitution. They locked themselves in the state house and said, nobody is leaving here until we get this done. Nobody. They shut the blinds, they closed the shutters, they locked themselves in that room, they locked themselves in that state house, and nobody left until the Constitution was written and agreed to. You're never going to see that again. You're just not.
Well, but there should be foundational principles that we should all be able to agree to, in the sense that Democrats should be able to agree that it is not democratic for Democrat judges to override the legislature. That's not democratic at all. At least in most cases. Perhaps there are some lines where maybe the legislator gets out of hand, but when it comes to drawing the maps, I have a hard time believing that courts doing it, or Eric Holder in particular, who I never consulted with Mr. Holder. I don't even know how to get a hold of him. I don't even know how to get a hold of anybody who helped him with that case. So if they're going to say that, they have to arrive at a justification for how these things are democratic, or even Democrats have to start voting against these people until they start upholding Democrat values.
That is one, that is probably the best way to fix this is the Democrats probably have more power to fix it than they probably realize, right? When your party's going off the tracks, and your name is on that registration list affiliated with that party, you have a duty. You have a duty to call your own party out. Nobody can fix it for you. I can't fix the Democrat Party. I don't want nothing to do with it, right? So I'm not a Democrat. I'm never gonna. I will never, ever affiliate myself with the Democrat Party. But those that are Democrats and they don't like what's going on, they need to get involved in their party, and they need to pull it back. They need to put a leash on it. That is the only way. That's a step. That's a very big step in the right direction, right? Is to say to your own party, what the heck are you doing? This is not American. This is not by our Constitution. And I've done that with my own party, and people will tell you that I'll call out a rhino as quick as anybody, right? And our president, the reason I love him so much, President Donald Trump has called out Republicans for not doing the right thing, right? And that's why he's so popular. That's how he's gotten. I mean, Donald Trump has transformed the Republican Party by holding them accountable to their corrupt ways, right? That's all I ask from the Democrats, right? Is to hold your party accountable and hold your leaders accountable, like Joe Biden, like Eric Holder, like Barack Obama, like Governor Wolf. hold them all accountable to their corruption. And until you do that, we will never, I'm telling you, it's just never going to come together.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's right. It's actually incumbent, if you're saying that you're going to be in the Democrat Party, to actually make sure that your people are doing that. We have a clear example, and perhaps we'll touch on this in future episodes, but we have a clear example with this map where it being selected by, well, drawn up by Holder and then submitted to a court, that's not democratic. And then we have a number of other infractions that have to lead people to believe, is this about being democratic and representing people, or is it about partisanship? Because when a governor locks people inside, when Biden wants to force something on 100 million people, when Holder is drawing these maps, then where does the people involvement come in? Because I'm not able to see that. That's what Democrat means. Power for, or power of the people, or the sovereignty is in the people, power of the sovereignty in the people, something of that nature. And I'm just not understanding where that is. I think more people would be friendlier to the party. There would be less partisanship if they defined what it is that their values are. Because you think that it's about people, it's not.
So the funny thing about Eric Holder and that administration and the Clintons is, I see it, and maybe Democrats don't see it, or maybe they don't care, but I see it. I see Eric Holder and a lot of that administration. They treat people as if they are too dumb to take care of themselves. They're too dumb to know what's good for them, right? And it's like, I will do this for you. And that's what we get whenever somebody has to mandate something. Basically what they're telling you is that you're too dumb to know what's good for you. You're going to listen to me, and this is how you're going to do it. And this is how you're going to live your life. And you're going to shut your business down. You're going to stay in your house. You're going to do all these things, right? Because I want you to, because it's what I believe, not what you believe. It's what I believe. And it's not anything about what you believe. And it's not anything about what you want to do in your life or how you want to live your life. It's about how I know more about living your life better than you do. So I'd like to see some outrage from that. I mean, I'd really like to see some outrage from Democrats saying, you know what, I'm not stupid. I know what I need to do. And if you want to wear a mask, if you want to stay inside your house, if you want to do all those things because you believe that that's the best thing for you, then by all means, there's nobody out there keeping you from doing that, right? But don't mandate it to somebody that says to themselves, well, I don't think that's the best thing for my life. I think the best thing for my life is to keep my business going, to keep food on the table. And you know what? I'll weigh my own options out and take my own chances. And I'm going to do what I think is best for me. And if it comes out that it ends up in a bad deal for me, well, then I'll be all right. I'll take it,
Yeah.
But that side of the coin there is very, very much, they're so elite that they believe that they know more about people's lives and how to live their life for them than what they do.
Yeah, no, and that's what the whole problem is. I mean, I think if we just agreed on some foundational values to start with, perhaps we could actually get closer to less partisanship. But as we start to drift off and we start to let people delegate powers, and at some point that the delegation of powers, I think, is what creates so much animosity, because there did apparently used to be a time where it seemed like what the Democrat Party wanted to do was make sure that women would have the right to vote, make sure that there would be public schools so that way the city elite and the rural people could be on an even playing field, and then also to protect middle class labor. And all those things have turned into these extremist ideas where the people who hold those extreme ideas now think that they're the best people and that any seizure of power that they have is justified and warranted. And I just hate to see what's going to go on with the PA, the Pennsylvania House map and the Senate map, according to these courts, because if they're willing to let somebody like Eric Holder draw maps so that two Republicans and Dan Muser and Fred Keller have to run against each other, while the Democrat seats largely haven't changed, then I can only imagine the nonsense that's going to go on there. And also, I was looking at some of those maps, and what they did apparently is what they wanted to do was create a whole new seat in the city of Philadelphia that doesn't have an incumbent. So this is the new Democrat mindset: is nothing is going to be done on the basis of people, and we are going to have elites like Eric Holder drawing our maps. And if you praise them, you're a good Democrat, and if you don't, then you probably worship Trump.
Yep. Hey, in real quick, I just got word that Congressman Fred Keller is retiring. So, Congressman Fred Keller is my congressman. And well, not now with the redistricting and everything. So what the redistricting maps did to Fred Keller is, man, this is how much the Democrats hate Fred Keller. It darn near they darn near drew the line right through the middle of his house, So, but anyway, he would have had to choose. He has to choose between running. If he wants to run for Congress, he would have to run against Dan Muser or GT Thompson. And no matter which one he chooses, huh?
You do have word that Fred is retired?
Yeah, I do have word. It is on his Facebook page. So I actually didn't get it from his Facebook page, but so he is retiring. I believe that's extremely noble of Fred Keller. Unfortunately, I was really upset over that him and Dan Muser would have to run against each other, or he was stuck. He's just stuck in a hard place. He'd have to run against GT Thompson or Dan Muser, neither of which he would want to run. And instead of, hats off to Fred Keller, because he sees what we see, and he sees the Democrats trying to pit us against each other. So hats off to Fred Keller for not letting that happen. And I just want to say on this show here that I appreciate everything Fred Keller has done. He's a great congressman, and I wish him all the luck in the future. I wish him well. I'm sure he'll be okay. So he's a very intelligent man with a great resume. I'm sure he'll be okay, and he'll find something to support his family with. But hats off to him. I thank him very much for everything he's done.
And that is indeed 1000% disappointing. I like Fred. I know Fred. I met him in the Comrie process when Tom Reno stepped down. So it's a real shame, and hopefully we can get him on some time to talk about all the stuff that's going on, perhaps. Well, that's really all we have for tonight, folks. Ronnie and I will come back some other time and ranting with Ronnie for all the unfiltered commentary and candid thoughts that I know that you guys appreciate so much. So make sure to follow the bottom line if you guys aren't. And hey, we'll catch up with you hopefully sometime soon.
It was a great time. Thanks, Zig.
Hey,